Hi, I'm Venessa Giunta. I am an author and an editor and an all-around like to talk about things person and a little awkward sometimes. One of my favorite things to do is talk to authors, right? I love talking to authors about their process, their writing, their careers, their marketing, all those things. And I really love just sitting down and just talking about stuff. I mean, communication is my love language. So that's really what I had in mind. I really wanted a situation where I could just have a conversation with somebody. So, and a conversation and a cocktail is really all about us hanging out and drinking together and talking about the stuff. Yay, we made it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Y'all know who I am, but please welcome Allegra. Allegra Pescatore has joined us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So excited. Yeah, when we were on that This Week in Indies, oh, look, well, she's here. She's right here.
Am I though?
When we were on that This Week in Indies, I was just I really enjoyed meeting you and having that time where we were all on the show together. So I just really wanted you for my show because you're awesome. So
well, thank you for inviting me. This is a pleasure.
Yay, you're welcome. So it is a conversation and a cocktail. What are you drinking?
I am drinking a mystery concoction that was in a pitcher in my fridge from my husband's gaming group yesterday. So it is, other than the fact that it has pineapple and rum and it is highly alcoholic, I know nothing about it.
It sounds excellent. I would drink it for sure. I am drinking
really good.
I am drinking an Arnold Palmertini. It is basically sweet tea vodka with lemonade.
That sounds delightful.
Because it's super easy and I'm lazy. Hello, people. Hello, Paige. Paige is drinking. What are you drinking, Paige? Anita's here. Hello, Anita. Awesome. JP Burnison. Yay. I love it. All right.
He would know he was at game night last night.
Oh, so, okay. Yes, it definitely.
Mystery solved. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Because I would drink the hell out of that.
Yes.
So, yes, super excited. All right. So, you and I don't know each other very well. So,
not, but you feel like an old friend.
I know. Like, you meet those people, you're like, that's my person. I don't know them yet, but that's my person. So, yes. So, give us your origin story into writing. Like, how did you, your Wolverine, whatever that adamantite or whatever it is, that metal, whatever. I don't know. Give us your origin story.
First, I was kidnapped by pirates. The real story is only slightly less bizarre. I've been playing around with stories since I was a little kid. I actually grew up in Italy and surrounded by Renaissance art, and both my parents are artists. So I spent my entire childhood kind of in a little artist community in Tuscany where I was encouraged to just go wild.
That is amazing.
Yes, it was an astonishing childhood. And my father spent hours and hours and hours each day, since we didn't have TV, reading fantasy novels to me. He's a huge fantasy geek. So we got through The Hobbit by the time I was 2. We were through the entire Lord of the Rings by 5. So I started very early.
Yeah, you did.
And I think I'd written my first full novel by the time I was 14.
Wow.
With several more shortly thereafter as I discovered NaNoWriMo. But I have been basically writing since as long as I can remember. I actually taught myself to read and write English by reading books, and I taught myself to write by doing text-based RP and writing novels. So my first few novels were in complete phonetic English.
That is
incomprehensible,
but fabulous. I love that. That's funny. We have something in common because I think I developed a lot of my writing skills. Like, I've also been writing since I was young, but I did a lot of online text role play. I mean, I was an adult by the time the internet became even remotely accessible.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up with it, but I spent years doing online role play, and that absolutely teaches you how to do all kinds of writing.
Most of my co-authors I met on RPG forums. And there's a certain point, I think it's one of the reasons why I do so much of my work as with co-authors, is because you get addicted to that feeling of having someone tag you back at 3 a.m. and suddenly you want to write so bad.
Y'all don't know this, but before the show, we were talking about Discord with Joe, and Allegra was talking about how, you know, they have 3 a.m. 3 a.m. seems to be your time.
Oh, it's so much my time. If I didn't have a day job, I would get all my writing done between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. and it would be peaceful and beautiful and glorious.
See, night owl. See, another thing we have in common, night owls. I am absolutely about that. So I love that origin story, though. So English isn't even your first language.
It's my first spoken language. I actually learned it. I did not speak Italian until I was 3, and I was tossed into preschool to figure it out on my own. And for the first 6 months, I came home with black eyes almost every day, and then I learned Italian.
Wow. So they were beating you up because you weren't speaking Italian?
Well, 3-year-olds trying to communicate and failing utterly are not particularly known for being polite.
Italian women can be fiery, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing bad. You know, our teachers were very responsible, but
yes.
But yeah, I was. But I spoke English from when I was a little child. My parents had me enrolled in public school in Italy, so I learned to read and write in Italian. I grew up on all the, reading all the classics in Italian.
That's amazing.
But
I envy your growing up years.
Yeah, they were great, but on the other hand, our bathroom basically didn't have hot water.
Ooh, yeah.
So try showering under a tiny drip of water on a cold marble floor in the middle of winter, basically without hot water. Suddenly it recontextualizes most of Italy.
Yeah, I can see that. I would not want that part.
Yeah, but all in all, it was endless fodder for writing.
Yes, that's fabulous. Yeah, one of my things, I am also Italian, but I am American Italian, right? My father came over on the boat. So one of my things is I've been to Italy a grand total of once, and it was just in the Alps, and it was with my in-laws and stuff. So like one of my things is I want to go tour Italy. I want to go to...
When you do, let me write your itinerary.
I am totally going to do that for sure. 100%. Because I am a total like history nerd and all the things.
Absolutely. My father's a marble carver, so I grew up on Michelangelo and his story and Da Vinci, and we grew up right in the shadow of the quarry that Michelangelo founded. Our church, the bell tower, was designed by him with a spiral staircase that amplifies the noise of the bells, so you can hear them all the way across the valley.
That's amazing. Yes, you will be writing my itinerary. You will be writing on my itinerary. Thank you. That's amazing. All right. So in the chat, everybody else is on board with the role playing, and also Paige mentioned that you do get addicted to tag teaming, and that kind of brings me to what the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about. One of the things, and stalking you online because I didn't know you very well, is I noticed the OA Collective.
AO Collective, yes.
Oh, AO. Never mind. I'm sorry. I had it written down right.
So AO Collective has been a project of mine since I was a little girl. I started working on what would become Where Shadows Lie when I was 8.
Wow.
And because I was in all these online RP communities, and because I was in fan spaces and I was reading fan fiction, I was fascinated by the synergy and the shared vision that multiple authors can bring to something, and how it can be so much greater than what one author can do alone, and how much more fun it was to work in those spaces. And like when I was working on my own on books by myself, I'm like stressed and I want to talk about it all day, every day, but there's only so much my poor husband can listen to me rant about my characters. And I wanted to be surrounded by not just creativity, not just enthusiastic other writers, but enthusiastic other writers who were working on the same project I was working on with the same kind of passion that exists in fan spaces, almost exclusively. And so it's gone through several iterations, but the core foundational idea of it is, what if we made a sandbox universe with multiple planets, each one of which is associated with a genre of fantasy? You have your epic fantasy, you have your romantic fantasy, you have your like futuristic fantasy. And we, as a group, started opening up these worlds with core novels that would be interesting, that would introduce readers to the world, and then let it grow organically. We take on new authors pretty regularly. We let them decide which world they are passionate about, whether it's one that's already been published or one that hasn't. And we have our established canon, what's been published, what's in the works. But outside of that established canon and the future plans for it, we let people have their legs, fill in lost histories, take a side character that someone else just kind of wrote for fun and tell their whole life story. And it creates this like wonderful synergistic web of different stories and different authors. And it has been fun every single day from the moment it started.
That sounds it sounds like so much fun.
We are online together literally every day. There's always someone working. There's always someone to spitball ideas with. And there are people who intimately know what's going on. And what's more, like, we can tell stories that would just not be achievable in one author's lifetime. We have a series that's going to be 30, 40 books. And no one author is going to be able to do that unless they dedicate their entire life to that. But when you have 12 authors working on it, it really comes down to 2 to 3 books per person.
Nice.
To tell this epic, generational, huge story.
So from a sort of practical logistic perspective, how do you keep track of all the details? Like, as a group, how do you keep track of all the details that end up in all these books, especially as you get more books? There's more details, right?
There are a lot of Google Sheets. We have name databases. We have magical databases. We have, all this information. We also have several Discord servers where we have channels for every world, every project, every kind of thing that we need to do. And yeah, so many Google Drive folders. But the big thing is we do canon compliancy checks all the time. Basically, at every stage of writing, someone has to present, okay, this is my plan for the book. And we say, okay, this doesn't break anything. And then they anytime they're writing, they can be, hey, I had an idea. Does this break anything?
I love that.
And then when we go through the editing process, the very first pass before we do any kind of revision is there anything that is going to break the world?
Yes.
Or the future plots?
Right.
And in that, I'm the final authority because I've been in there the longest, but only because my brain is the encyclopedia of everything that is Project AO. We do function as a publishing collective, which means that all of our authors get a vote, get a seat at the table. We if any surplus of funds from any of the books, we do take a percentage for Project AO, but any surplus at the end of the year, we vote on what we want to do with it, whether we want to reinvest it, whether we want to distribute it. And it functions very differently than a traditional publishing house because of that, because it is more like a co-op.
I love that. I really do. So yeah, you got a whole bunch of folks out there.
Yes.
I love it.
We are legion.
Yes. And Nikki says it sounds like it's like writing down a long-running role-playing campaign.
It is exactly that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. It's
been a labor of love that I've been in for over 2 decades.
Wow. I love that. I think it feels much more fair, right? It feels like everybody having a voice. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of definitely the big publishers, but even some of the small publishers, you tend to have more of a voice than you would as an author, as you would. But the idea that everyone, it's kind of very much like a commune, like a socialist little commune, right?
A little bit. And, we have it, we try at least every other year to have a retreat where we all get together and we spend a week heavily world building and talking about business and talking about our goals. There are, some goals that are built into Project AO, and then there are some that change with the authors that we have. People come, people go, and we always want to make sure that the stories that we're telling and the environment that we're creating is tailored to the authors we have, especially because a lot of our authors that are drawn in by some of the themes that I've put into my books, which are things like disability and LGBTQ rights and things like that. So we have a lot of people who wouldn't function well in a traditional publishing environment where there were strict deadlines and really, arbitrary rules and requirements that are not accessible to them.
Yes. Yes. I think that, it really feels like that is sort of, I feel like very much a part of the future of publishing, especially because we do have all of these tools as indie authors and indie publishers, because that's what we are as indie authors as well, right? And so we have all these tools that we can utilize. So I think that is a super smart way to do it, like super smart. I love that. That's brilliant.
We're having fun. And what I figure is the worst case scenario is we spend years writing with people we enjoy.
Gosh.
Telling stories we love.
That's so bad.
The best case scenario is all it takes is one of us to make it big. And then rising tide rises all boats, and I get to bring all my authors with me, or one of them might bring me up. Like it's just, there are very few downsides as long as everyone communicates and is clear and honest.
Yes, I love that. I love that. So how many authors do you have in the collective right now?
There are a couple collective comets who are kind of circling around deciding where they want to land. But we have about 10 to 11 people pretty solidly working on things. Nice. There are primarily 3 of us who have published Project AO books. And then there are a whole bunch of people who have assisted with those books or are close or are the next up to bat, have books that are almost ready or are ready, and that we're just getting through the, revisions and edits and all those.
And that's the other cool thing about this whole thing is that, if you want to do something, like, you can release much more quickly because you have multiple people working on multiple books.
Yes.
So, yes. So there was a question about, I like that Toby said instead you have readers like me saying, please finish. Nikki had asked a question whether you have a wiki for each series, and someone answered in the chat, but I kind of wanted you to address it.
Yeah, we've thought about it. And it's one of those things where if any of us ever has the time and bandwidth to sit down and take this giant mountain of, in some places incredibly organized, and in some places it's incredibly disorganized notes from
my office. You're talking about my office.
There will come a time when we do have a wiki for everything, but as I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, which explains so much about the state of my Google Drive. So we are working through the organizational problem one step at a time.
I feel like we're all kind of peas in a pod on this. Yes, mood changer. I like that. I'm taking that. I'm chaotically organized.
Exactly. Yes. Listen, as long as you know where to find all pieces of information, it doesn't matter what the organizational structure is. Google Drive has a search feature for a reason.
Yes, it's like, don't move my shit. I know where my shit is. Don't move my shit.
Exactly.
So, yes. So, all right. So I love this idea of all of this. So I was looking, I actually got your book, Where Shadows Lie. I actually got it. I have only just started reading it because it's been a very chaotic week. And so, but I wanted you to talk a little bit about it because you are my understanding is you are wheelchair bound. Is that correct?
I'm not wheelchair bound. I am an ambulatory wheelchair user, which means I use it sometimes when I need it, and other times I use a cane or crutches, and sometimes I'm totally fine and I walk around like a seemingly able-bodied person, even though I super am not.
You're like, I am in disguise.
Exactly, I am bamboozling you.
So I actually wanted to talk wanted you to kind of talk a little bit about writing this project.
Sure.
And you know, I love your cover. I think it's a gorgeous cover. And
Thank you. I did it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. You're like impressing me on all levels. So so those of you who can't see it, it's kind of up to the right of her head. So can you talk a little bit about, you said that was the one that you said that you've been writing since you were a child.
Yes.
So I would love to hear the story about that.
Sure. So Where Shadows Lie really originated from literally playing with little Playmobil figurines with my friend down the road, Sylvia. And I think that was so fundamental for me, because what we would do is we had these characters, and every day we would tell a different story with them. Sometimes character A would be a princess, sometimes she would be a rebel, sometimes she would be this, sometimes she would be that, and the same with everyone else, but it was always the same cast. So I grew up with these people. When I started doing online RPs, I would make ports of them and versions of them on every single site I went on, because I liked being in their heads. Yes. The main character of Where Shadows Lie, Eleanor, became disabled when I became disabled.
That makes sense.
And she has been a way for me to explore disability and explore a lot of the internalized ableism that I grew up with. It took me a long time to accept myself the way I am. I've been in pain, and I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a rare connective tissue disease, and which essentially means I have been in pain and dislocating my joints since I was a small child. And I have fibromyalgia, and I have POTS. I pass out all the time. And I needed to write about that.
That makes total sense.
But I also needed something a step removed from me, and that I could do things with plot-wise that I couldn't do with a real-world disability. So I did create an illness for this book that would allow me to talk about the many facets of mine in a way, and some of the things that I don't usually see talked about in disability spaces, such as one of the symptoms of my fibromyalgia is called tactile allodynia. And it basically means that my skin is hypersensitive, and things like fabric or light touches can feel like knives or fire. Yeah. And it was little things like that that I really wanted to explore, more than the experience of having EDS. And so when I went to rewrite Where Shadows Lie for like the nth time, I made the decision that Eleanor had to be disabled, because I needed to tell that story. And what's more, her disability had to not be the focus of the book. The book was about coming of age person finding herself. It's about a girl who's gone through a lot of gaslighting and a lot of emotional abuse in her lifetime, finding herself and finding her voice and finding her courage. It's really, the disability is just the backbone of who she is as a character, not what she does with her life.
Yes.
And so it's carried me through 3 books, and I'm still going strong.
Yay, I love that. And I think that's so important, because, and this also falls into the LGBTQ spectrum, right? Is that, hey, Jessica, a lot of Jessicas out there. Yes. So it also falls into the LGBTQ spectrum, because so often books with queer characters are about them being queer, not about them being humans dealing with what everyone deals with as a human, and they just happen to be whatever, they just happen to be queer. And so I think that a legion of Jessicas. I'm sorry, I get sidetracked by the chat. So I think that it's so important in showing people who are outside the normative idea that society puts out there, people outside of that, we're still people.
We still get to have adventures and ride dragons and
Right?
defeat evil.
I mean, I want to ride a dragon.
I know. Like, it would hurt and I would have to have special gear for it, but totally worth it.
Agreed. I would be terrified because I'm scared of heights, but bitch, if that was a dragon, I would ride it.
And this book I'm writing now, book 4 of the Last Gift series, is so personally, like, it's so in my present right now because Eleanor, my main character, is training her service dragon while I'm training my next service dog. It's happening at the same time.
That's amazing. Have parallels come up between the dragon and the puppers?
Yes. I look to the left. I see what the puppy's doing. I write it in. Plus wings.
Yes, go dragons. Yes, if you like reading dragons, I absolutely recommend Paige's book. Also, so she's got this amazing take on dragons.
That's awesome.
But I love the idea of a service dragon.
You don't see them very often.
That's freaking amazing.
But no, she's Eleanor has been my funnel. Like, when something's going on with me, something's going to go on with her. Mm-hmm. I was exploring so many of my own, so much of my own trauma and so much of my own, experience with dealing with disability and identity and all of that. And it just, every single time something major happens in my life, it gets funneled right into Eleanor, because while she is not me, like, we are very different people, she deals with things in ways that make me want to shake her.
But if she didn't, it wouldn't be a good story.
Exactly. She's definitely my outlet, and I do believe that because of that, like, some of my strongest writing comes in that series because it's so close to home and so deep into my psyche.
Yes, I agree, Paige. Service dragons sound fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Synchronicity, funny how the universe works like that with writing and reading and really everything. And Nikki needs an emotional support dragon in my life. I feel like that needs to be a thing for sure.
Yeah.
So, and I had a question, and I should have written it down because I know my brain is like a sieve. I'm old, shit leaks out my ears. I forget stuff all the time. And you were talking, and I don't remember what I was going to ask you. Damn it.
Happens to me all the time.
I know, right? It's just like,
One of the best parts about having POTS is that my intellect changes with my position. If I'm lying down, I'm at my most brilliant. I can think up great plots. If I sit, I'm right average. I'm a little spacey, but I can be solid. The moment I stand up, I'm in the clouds. My brain might as well be like,
you become a bimbo.
I do. It's very funny to watch.
I mean, I wouldn't want to laugh, but it is a funny idea.
My dear friends are. I've given them permission to laugh every single time I forget, like, words completely, like wholesale, not a word, just words, and I start speaking in beeps.
Oh, that's amazing! I feel like you could create your own language that way. So, yeah. Oh, so yeah, and so I've had another guest on here earlier. Like, I think Toby was my second or third maybe guest, and he also has POTS. So, and I'm hearing it's interesting because when I met Toby and learned about his medical issues, I started hearing POTS all over the place.
It's becoming more and more common, especially as a symptom of long COVID.
Yes, that is my understanding of that as well. Yeah.
Which is, incredible. This month, they've come out with new technology that will be debuting later, early in 2024, which is a little ear apparatus that monitors your blood pressure and pulse in your head and can warn you ahead of time before passing out. I am so incredibly excited about this.
That is fabulous.
It could be life-saving for millions of people.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Joe. And yes, Toby Adams, not you. Sorry. I probably should have made that clear. It was Toby Santarelli, another Italian. We Italians, we're just everywhere.
We are also Legion.
Yes, indeed, for sure. But not as legion as the Vikings. The Vikings really.
Excuse me, the Romans?
No, but the Romans were also Viking. Like Vikings got into they spread everywhere. It was insane. Anyway, that's completely off topic.
It is true.
Sorry. All right. So, in this world, so you said that like each planet has, it's a genre or whatever.
Yeah.
So I see that you've got what looks like 4 series behind you.
It's actually 3. Everything on this side is all Last Gift. It just it expanded beyond the realm.
It got bigger.
Yeah. Then the books too are quite a bit bigger. They're very, very chunky boys.
Chunky.
I like to say that whenever you buy my books, you've bought yourself entertainment. You've also bought yourself a bludgeoning weapon. Use it however you wish.
I like it. This is a little off color, if you don't mind me sharing, but I dated a guy once who told me that I should get one of those gigantic dildos and keep in my car, like the really big ones that are just ridiculous, to keep in my car because I could use it as a blunt force weapon and nobody would turn me in because they would not want to admit that they got the hell beat out of them by a girl holding a giant dildo.
Listen, this makes total sense to me, and I'm going to be buying one tomorrow.
Excellent. Be all these cars driving the road with a giant dildo on the passenger seat. I love that.
The world would be a better place.
It really would if there were more dildos. Or like the big fist ones. Yes, like the big fist dildo ones. Yes.
Honestly, anything that's outrageous will work. Beat to death with a rubber chicken.
Yes.
What a way to go.
Right? I mean, because no criminal is going to be like, I just got the hell beat out of me by a girl holding a giant fisting dildo thing.
And I hope that's never actually like happened because, violence is bad for context.
Right. Yes.
But at the same time,
attacking you at your car.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Paige. Can the rubber chicken be radioactive? No, because then I have to hold it. I don't want to hold something that's radioactive.
It can be cursed.
Oh, that would be good. And like I give it to them.
Yeah.
Here, have a chicken.
Actually, this brings up a great point that literally saved my life once.
Oh.
So I was traveling around the world in 2011 on field study, and I was alone backpacking. And I said, okay, Allegra, you're going to be in a situation at least once where a guy is hitting on you that you do not want hitting on you. What can you do to make sure that doesn't happen? So I don't know if you're familiar with the Disney movie Tangled and the little chameleon Pascal.
I have not seen it, no.
Well, he's a little chameleon and he has a red mode, which is angry mode. So I got a little plushie of this tiny little red angry chameleon, much like that. And what I would do every day if I didn't want to be disturbed at a bar is I would put the plushie next to me and I would have an in-depth conversation with it while having my drink. And I was never bothered while that plushie was out.
Because they were like, that bitch crazy. She talking to a stuffed animal. She crazy.
Having an in-depth conversation, not a like lighthearted, like baby talk conversation. No, like talking through the fine points of my novel.
That is excellent. I love that. That is the best. So I love that. And the chat is just going crazy with this whole talk. Stopped a mugger by holding her dance sword to his junk. That is an excellent way. All I have is a boring heavy dowel in my car. Put a dildo on the end of it. It'll be perfect. No mine has been used in a game. I flipped the fist. Y'all are killing me. I actually wrote a story involved bludgeoning and a rubber chicken. I love that. I should say anybody in this chat who knows you, Anita, would not be surprised at all. Not at all. So I actually have some friends who make adult toys, and they made a rubber chicken flogger.
Excellent.
I know, right?
Excellent.
Right? It's amazing. So, all right. So anyway, going back to what I was going to ask before we got sidetracked by chickens and dildos, as you do. So which fantasy, like which planets have you already been published?
This side, Last Gift series in general, is epic fantasy.
Okay.
It's where you have your dragons. Now, there is at least one spaceship, so take epic with a grain of salt. I'm unable to stick within a genre to save my life.
I feel
that. And all of this is happening in the same universe, so there's a certain level of like genre crossover that's going to happen naturally.
Sure.
But it's essentially epic fantasy with a sprinkling of romance, but romance isn't like the main focus of the plot. My main character starts off with a loving girlfriend who she stays with so far for the entire series, and as far as I can tell, for her entire life, because I am not splitting those two up ever. They are my OTP, and I love them.
Nice. Nikki, children, chickens, and dildos are why I hang out in these Going Me Now productions.
No. It's not a great book title. It's a great band name.
Oh, yes. It could be a band in your book.
Yes.
All right. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
And then NACL, other way, the one on the bottom here, is my arcane punk pirate fantasy.
Okay. I feel like I should have bought that book.
It starts, the chapter 1, not the prologue, but chapter 1 just starts with the entire line of F-bombs.
Yeah, I'm sold. You don't even have to say anything
and doesn't get cleaner from there. It is raunchy. It is violent. It is angry. We wrote it very pissed off at something, and so we wrote a book about a world without salt, and there is just one giant mountain of salt, and we were very salty, so we exploded a giant mountain of salt.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get that one. I feel like that is right up my alley.
Yeah, it is one of those books that you either love or hate. There is no reader that has a reaction to NACL.
Clearly, Toby Adams really likes it.
You know, there are a lot of people who like it, and then there are a lot of people who are very scared by it.
I like how they say it's my favorite of the AO series.
Yeah. So that one is probably the wildest. And then up here, this is the Mountain Fell. And the Mountain Fell is our Project AO flagship. It is where almost every single author in Project AO is writing in that series. We're going to get the whole gambit of all the authors working on this massive interconnected series of books. Mm-hmm. And it is mostly romances, with fairy romances. But it has its real dark moments, and it definitely is going to tell a very epic story. So it kind of, if the Last Gift series is epic first, romance second, this is romance first, epic second, but they're both very narrowly skirting the same line.
So are those, the last ones you talked about, are those standalones that are connected by?
They are not standalones because they do intersect quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But most of the initial books, the first season of books, are going to be each one introducing one or more main characters with a few interspersed in there that move the meta plot along. Gotcha. So they feel like standalones, even though they're not.
Gotcha. I love that. That is fabulous. That's where Toby keeps asking when you're going to write the next one. All right, Joe, put your comment up. Are they named Pepper, the villain, because you have the giant salt thing?
No, the villain is named Moss, and Moss will give you nightmares.
Ooh, nice. Mountain Fell has that fun thing when there are different couples for each book, sort of. Nice.
All the books are very poly friendly. Couple is a very loosey-goose word.
Yes, I understand.
Non-monogamy is more the norm than monogamy in my various series.
Yeah, I'm clearly going to be reading all these books. Clearly. So, yeah, that's what I thought, Paige. Joe is channeling Darren Kennedy right now. So, all right. Go Polly, Toby Adams says. Go Polly, Team Polly. So, yeah, that's one of the things that I'm also integrating into a number of my novels is many of my characters are not straight to begin with. and several of them are much more E&M minded, ethical non-monogamy minded.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so I'm actually, that's also a thing I have that I incorporate into my stuff too. So like I said, we're like,
yeah, we got it. We're tribe.
Yes, we are tribe. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, my rule of thumb is anytime a reviewer complains about too much diversity in my books, I add more diversity.
Yes, I like it. I feel like that there should be a prize for that. Like I feel like there should be, you know, a reward for that kind of thing. Don't you think? I feel like. All right. I want to remind the chat that y'all can actually ask questions too, if you'd like. You know. So how long does it typically take you to write a book, like get a book from idea to ready to publish? How long does that take?
I have no idea because I tend to write about 10 at a time. So the culminative time from when I start one to when I start the next, finish it is quite a long time. But in that time, I've written 10 novels.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense. So you're definitely a multi-project writer then.
Oh, yes. I am a mood writer. I need to be in the right mood to write whatever I want to write.
Oh, JP.
Yeah.
42. That's what I got.
He's my co-author on Bond of Thread. He's my co-author on our current lit RPG that we're almost finished with.
I like him already because I like
wonderful.
I like snark, and he is very full of snark. So
I bring the snark, and then he ramps it up like 20 notches. It's great.
I like it. I'm sorry, and I got completely lost in what we were talking about because I got sidetracked by the woodchuck question.
We were talking how long it takes to write books.
Yes. But you work on multiple projects at once, which I think is fabulous. And you were saying that you're a mood writer, so it really comes down to whichever you're in the mood for now.
And it's fun because like my goal is to never quite write the same genre twice.
Oh, interesting.
I want to be one of those authors who has just broad skill across genres. Like to me, it's exciting to go from swearing pirates with guns to epic fantasy with service dragons to fairies like making plants grow in a whimsical soft magic system. That fills my heart with joy.
I like it. I love that. That's so cool. And there's more snort going on in the chat. But also Jessica Barney. Okay, wait. All right. Okay, so what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
African or European swallow.
Yes, exactly. So, but Jessica makes a really good, really fun suggestion. Should make a victory board. Each author receives points for receiving certain complaints. And then at the end of the year, the one who gets the most gets the trophy for the next year.
I love that.
Yes. I feel like they should like get a sash that they can wear.
Sashes are fabulous. We need to bring like sash culture back.
Yes, for sure.
But not for beauty pageants, for really unusual, quirky things.
Just being awesome. For just being awesome in whatever weird way.
Waking up with your alarm 7 days a week. You get a sash.
Oh, yeah. Because I don't know who does that. They're weird, though. I don't know who does that.
I know. I have a puppy. I don't like mornings.
I'm definitely a snooze girl, right? Tiaras, that's perfect. Yes. And Paige is talking with JP, who really wants a number, and Paige says, "Do not constrain the woodchuck." So
this is the correct answer, Paige.
Exactly.
You get a gold star and a cookie
and a sash. Fucking sash, man. Reward for the most rejection letters when you are job hunting. They don't send letters anymore. They just ignore you. Like they ghost you. So, yes.
I ghosted my husband.
Oh, did you? Do tell. Now we got to hear that story.
I met him online like a month or not even a month, like 2 weeks before I was opening a restaurant. And then I started opening procedures. And I ghosted everyone I was talking to.
Not him specifically.
No. And then like 6 months later, he walked into said restaurant and arcade and we hit it off. And then like the next day we realized we were the same people.
Did you guys know that you guys were who you were when
No.
you walked into the
No
restaurant?
idea.
That's amazing. That is fabulous.
It wasn't until I had asked him on a date that I realized I was already talking with him.
But that's awesome though, because then you did away with all that weird awkwardness of when you've been talking online for a while and you feel like you really know each other, but you meet each other in person, but it's you're still strangers. You're not used to like the way the body moves or any of that, so it's always weird and awkward. You just skipped all that. Good job. Good job. I actually met my husband in an online role-playing environment. And we were
one does.
Right? And we were just like friends for 2 years because he was living in freaking Amsterdam and I was living in freaking Georgia in the US. And so we got to talking on the phone and then it was just like, yeah, done.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Yeah. So yeah, it was stupid and ridiculous and grossly romantic and makes people want to barf. But
Listen, I get it. I totally get it. My parents ran away to Italy together to be artists.
Oh, I love that.
The day before Valentine's Day.
Aw, are they American? Were they American or?
Yes.
Aw, to be so brave.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
one-way ticket, stayed there 20 years.
Nice. I love that. Oh, the cocktails are here. We drinking?
Yeah, we're drinking. I'm slowly making my way. I'm like a third of the way through, and to get to the bottom of this would be a mistake.
You clearly weren't here from the beginning, mood changer, is what I'm saying. I'm assuming you're a Jessica. Because everybody's a Jessica. Oh, Nikki also met her husband of 21 years in an RPG group. Yes.
It's a way to meet people.
Yes, because you've got a built-in, commonality. It's already there, I
mean, if you can write romance with someone, you could probably be romantic with them.
Right. You think. We're being forced to drink. Yes, you're a Jessica. Huzzah. I actually knew that because I saw the conversation earlier. So, but I'm assuming pretty much anyone associated with you, Allegra, is going to be a Jessica.
We can just assume that everyone in the chat is a Jessica from now on till the end.
Yes. Except for Nikki and except for Anita and except for Paige, who all have their actual names. So everybody else is just a Jessica of some.
JP Bernerson is definitely a Jessica.
Gotcha. I'm not gonna. I have a friend circle where y'all don't. Never mind. Y'all don't even want to know what Jessica means in that friend circle.
Oh dear.
Toby says my spouse met me, was very, very scared. 2 years later, we met again and fell in love. Aw, yay. This is also ridiculous. It makes me so happy. Paige is single. Nikki's just going to change her name. Give me a minute. We have created chaos. Our work here is done, Allegra. We win. We win YouTube. We totally win YouTube. Aw, 20th anniversary. That's so sweet. I love that. All right. And JP is talking about not being one of those plebes, but I would beg to differ because I feel like you absolutely are one of those plebes. I'm just saying. Anyway. All right. So getting back, Allegra's like, please don't hate me.
Oh, no. That was definitely me trolling him. 100%. We spend way too much time together. He knows I am just full of snark at all times.
I love it. It makes my heart happy, y'all. Everyone is a Jessica. Yeah, my train of thought is just like gone. Like I am bad interview Vanessa now because I'm just like completely, I don't even know. Look, Paige is like, more cocktail. She can't even spell it. So clearly, Paige, you have been drinking. You have been drinking yours as well, clearly. So, all right. So what else, aside from writing, which you do a lot, clearly, and you have a day job, you said, but like, what other things do you do? Like, do you have hobbies, things like that?
So, I garden.
Oh, nice.
I grow a lot of our food. And I do art. I do covers, I do character art, I do chapter header art. Basically, I just like helping authors, and I like doodling, and it's fun.
I love that. I love that.
Also, it's something I can do on pain meds. You do not want me writing on pain meds.
You never know what you're going to get.
No, I know what I'm going to get. I revert to spelling everything phonetically.
Oh, so you reversed to when you were a child, and you didn't know English.
I know everything phonetically. I wake up the next morning and it's just gobbledygook.
You have the best stories. Oh my gosh. And the chat is just out of control. I can't even track it anymore. It's just gone insane. Welcome to Rosie Potter. You will soon be a Jessica. You just don't know it yet. And Paige cannot split. Oh my God, I'm crying. Woo. All right, so you grow stuff, you doodle a lot, you make cool stuff for authors.
And I get bitten by a puppy.
And you get bitten by a puppy. I mean, I feel like anyone who has a puppy is going to get bitten by them at some point.
Yes, well, all puppies exist on a teeth to pee scale.
What?
All puppies exist on a scale of teeth to pee.
Oh, yes, that's true. That's true.
And most puppies exist somewhere in the middle. This one exists all the way over at the teeth.
At least it's not all the way over at pee.
The last one was all the way over at pee.
Oh. Oh, and Paige says all cocktails are Jessica. Y'all, if y'all knew what Jessica meant in the other circles I run in, you would just like not. It's hilarious. So I love puppies. I don't like getting bitten by puppies, but puppies don't usually like rip your face off. Usually it's okay. So, but they could. They have the capacity. They could. So, do you ever go to events? Like, do you ever go to cons and things like that?
So I debuted my novel March 20th, 2020.
Awesome. So just in time to not.
The day my launch party was supposed to be was the day we got our stay home order.
Oh.
And I am immunocompromised.
Yes. So you haven't left the
house. I
house.
have been a hermit for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am hoping to start doing events in the coming year or so. Though who knows? It kind of depends on where numbers are at and all that jazz.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Well, you know, if you ever want to come down to Atlanta, we have a great show called Multiverse in October.
Ooh,
yes.
Maybe.
Yes. This year it's the 20th to the 22nd, but I think you would feel very much at home. I really do. So we can talk about that another time because like every Friday night, for those who don't know, I'm going to totally pimp Joe's show now. Every Friday night we do a multiverse spotlight. Well, Joe doesn't. I don't. Joe does. A multiverse spotlight at 10 p.m. Eastern time on Fridays. And you can hear from the different guests that we've got. See, Paige even says, is the best con ever. JP, we are not that close to Florida, I promise.
He just escaped Florida.
Oh, yes. I lived in Florida for 7 years. I totally commiserate with that, which is why I'm in Atlanta and not Florida. So excellent. We would love to have all of you there because it is a great time. It is very a super inclusive environment. That's how we built it. And we also, well, our first one was 2019, our very first.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then we went straight into the pandemic. So like, I totally understand that. So, all right, so we've got about 5 more minutes left, give or take. Is there anything like what's your most recent book, or do you have a new release coming up?
So my most recent book is Peddler of Chains. It's the second book in the Mountain Fell series, and it's my second book with E. Sands, who I also wrote NACL with. So that was a lot of fun. And now, for the first time ever, I'm not next up to bat with Project AO. The next book is JP Bernison and MD Chester. Yes, Jessica Bernison. MD Chester. They're writing the third book, which is going to focus on another actual trio of characters. And then I get to jump back in. But in the meantime, also Jessica Bernison and I are working on a lit RPG novel that is almost done. We have about 20,000 words to go. That's the first of a trilogy that's going to be going up on Yonder, which is a story app, which is a lot of fun. It's a new genre for us, but it's all about these characters who are part of a game development company. And I have to work for a game development company and got the job after I started writing this. So it was perfect. I get to like nerd out about the other thing I love to do during my day job. And there's a lot of just really fun characters and humor that and nostalgia that just speaks to my heart.
I love that. And lit RPG is such a big genre right now. Like, you know, out of all the subgenres in, you know, sci-fi, because it's, I guess, sci-fi fantasy technically, it's one of the bigger ones. So yes. Toby wants to know, what's the name of that third book that's coming out now?
Vow of Bones.
Vow of Bones. I like it. Yes. Excellent. Thank you for that clarifying question, Toby. That was awesome. So, all right, you want to let us know how folks can find you?
Absolutely. You can find me pretty much anywhere as author Allegra. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok, I'm everywhere. And I also run a Discord, Plot Mom's Corner, the logo up there, and a YouTube channel. And we are a LGBTQ disability minority friendly Discord server for writers and readers. We have a Thursday tea time every week where we get together and we chat about wonderful bookish things. Toby Adams actually runs that and is our fabulous moderator for it. And we just have a blast every Thursday and oftentimes throughout the week on our Discord server. And then you can find my books on Amazon. A whole bunch of them are on Audible as well. The last book of the Last Gift series is actually coming out on Audible later, early, like mid-July, I think we're estimating. That's going to be exciting. And if you really love what we talked about with Project AO, and it's something that you'd be interested in checking out or maybe even writing in, we always have submissions open. You can find out more and contact us at aocollectivepublishing.com. We love writing with new people.
Oh, I love that. That's fabulous. I love that you're open for that. So yay. I have too much on my plate. And I said, no, you can't take on another project.
I understand. I have like 11 novels in progress.
So many things, so many. But thank you so much for joining me tonight. You have been so much fun. I'm so glad that
so happy to be here. This has been great.
Yes, I'm so glad we got to connect on This Week in Indie. So thank you, Joe, for that. All right, everybody. I know that this show is actually technically 2 weeks later than our usual scheduled show because we had some scheduling stuff, but the next one is going to be in 2 weeks from now, whatever the second Monday is of next month. And we will be having a guest who is really good at Kickstarters and anthologies. So it's going to be awesome.
I have to check in on that one. I'm going to be on a Kickstarter soon.
Yes. So yeah, he's fabulous. His name is Mike Jack Strombos. So there you go, Joe. Now you know who our next guest is. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And thank you, Allegra, for hanging out with me. You've been so much fun. And y'all remember, it's always time to go indie now.